How's everyone doing today? This is Andrew back here with Resurrection Rides. Today, I got a little different video. It's more of a how-to video. I'm going to show you how to make metal roses. I am currently in the process of making my wife 3 roses for Valentine's Day. I have one done already, which I will show you. Here is the one I have done already. They're very simple to make. I had to go put it back in case she comes home. The stuff you're going to need is, I got some channel locks, needle nose pliers, a chisel, some regular pliers, left and right handed tin snips, your square with a ruler, a grinder, drill bits, hammer, marking utensils, and heat to give it the color. I got my metal. This is just 20 gauge sheet metal here. And I got 3/16 steel dowel rods. But you can use, I probably would rather use 1/8 inch TIG rods, but this is what I have. So that's what I'm using. I will put in the description the measurements, the pieces you need to let you know, so you can kind of screenshot it or save it, write it down. You don't have to keep going back in the video to see what you need to cut. But you're going to need to cut one 5 inch by 5 inch square, one 4.5. I think there's a bird in here. One 4.5, 2 4 inches, and 2 3 by 3 squares. And then maybe another couple little pieces to make the leaves out of. All right, let's get started. All right, first thing I'm going to do, I went ahead and drew a line across here. What I did, I used my square, put it on the straight edge over here, and then I used my long yardstick and just held it up against there to get a straight line all the way across. These are angled. So then this way I have a, ooh, that's why this sleeve's ripped off, because I always tear my clothes up working out here in the shop. Got that. Put my gloves on so I don't cut my fingers. My glasses. My sunglasses, don't want to use those. Let me find my glasses. First off, I got my line marked across here to square this piece of sheet metal off. The way I did that, I took my square and my yardstick and put it up there. And I just held this along the edge of that to this point. Held it, marked it. And there we go. I'm going to square this off so I got a nice square spot to cut or make my squares off of. And I need some power. All right, let's make this cut. Picking up my scraps. Get you guys turned around and zoomed out so you can see a bigger picture. All right, first off, what we're going to do, like I said, we need one 5x5 square. With some of this stuff, we're going to start over here on this side. Get my marker. Mark. I got my ruler set at my square set at 5 inches. I'll mark 5 there. And 5 here. Go ahead and make my square. Okay, then we're going to need one 4.5. So let's set our ruler at 4.5. I'm just going to go right along this line. Yeah. I'm going to space it away from there a little bit, because when I run my cutoff wheel through there, it's going to take up, whatever that is, 16th, 8th, whatever. 16th. Hope that ain't an 1/8 inch. Ooh. Okay, make my mark there. How do I want to do this? Here I can. You know what? I will get my ruler or my yardstick. Stupid microphone. And mark 4.5. Okay. Let's finish that line. These squares don't need to be perfect. None of this stuff really needs to be perfect. It kind of helps if it's not. Okay, then we're going to need 2 4-inch squares. Then I'm going to mark just past 8, like 8 1/16. Draw this line. And this line. Connect them. And then 2 3.5. I'm going to do the same thing. That one. Take my yardstick. Mark it at 3 6 1/16. On my line. this line. Then connect them. There they are. See there, my pieces aren't perfectly square by any means, but like I said, that's okay. It don't matter. Now, the next step will be I'm going to do them on the flip side, but you're going to find the center to drill a hole. The easiest way to do that is get your ruler, line it up corner to corner. What I do is I don't go all the way across because you don't need it all the way across unless you really want to. And right there in that spot is the center of it. We're going to do that to all these. Alright, I'm back. I had to kind of hide my stuff because I thought my wife was home. And it's the week before, the Monday before Valentine's Day. I don't want her to know what I'm making. But anyway, back at it. Make our center points here. I moved my mic too. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Now I'm going to drill them. I have 3/16 dowel rod, so I'm going to use 3/16 bit. And I do not have a 3/16 bit because it broke. So I'm going to use 13/64. That is okay. Let's get a piece of wood to set these on so I can drill the holes in them. Now I know I had a piece. Got a piece of wood. Ouch. That's why when messing with metal, you should wear gloves. Alright, let's get these holes drilled. Some people use a punch, a center punch, to mark your spot so your drill bit don't walk when you do it. But I'm not. I'm just going to drill them. Alright, now that all your pieces are drilled and ready for the holes, the next step is to draw a line long ways across it. And they don't have to be perfect either. And what I do, put my square on there and just kind of put it in the center of the hole as best as I can. Draw the line. Then draw the line, just like this. Alright, now that that is done, we are going to cut these lines. But before you do, if you're like me, and sometimes I get a little carried away with the cutoff wheel, I'm going to draw a circle around the hole. So that's my stopping point. Um, I like to try to make it as symmetrical as possible, you know, equal distance around. Try to make it small, probably smaller than this. Because the first one I did, I noticed when I was folding them, the corners where they come together was sticking out a lot. So this one I'm going to actually try to make them smaller, or make that circle smaller, and see if that helps. Maybe something like that. And there's one or two ways you can do this part. The first time I used, there they are, the hand shears to cut these. Uh, with this being 22 gauge, it's a little tougher to cut, but it's still not real bad to do it with these. But I think this time I'm going to use my cutoff tool, or my cutoff wheel, to cut these lines. But I'm still going to use these to shape the pedals, just because I think it'd be easier. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Gotta get my earplugs in for my sensitive ears. Alright, I'm back. It is a new day and new pieces because the camera wasn't recording after I went pretty far on the last ones. So instead of going back and redoing it, I had to get that one finished up. And now we are going to pick up where we left off on my third one. These pieces look a lot nicer. I actually cut them in the shear at work, so they're nice and square. But first off, we're going to take one of the 3-inch squares and set it aside because it's used for something else besides the pedals. And then we are going to just kind of draw. Let me use my marker so you guys can see it. Just kind of make lines as close as you can to the centers of the all four sides of each little square. And then so what we're going to do is kind of take it and curve it. Put a nice good curve in it. It's kind of like we're making a rounded square or a squared circle, whichever way you want to look at it. It's kind of like so. But you see, it's like that. I'm going to go ahead and get all these marked up besides this one. Then I'll show you what we're going to do with this one. And then I'll show you what's next. Okay, now with this one, it's going to be a little bit different. So what we're going to do with this one is come right where your lines end, and then make a slight curve out to this point. Same with this one, slight curve out to the point. So you end up with something like that. Alright, now the next step, we're going to cut those out. Yesterday, when I was doing this, while the camera quit working, I was having problems with my shears. But maybe today, they'll work better. And then you can just take your shears and cut along your line. Alright, now you got all your pieces cut out, we are going to get your big one, your 5-inch. Oh, well, that don't matter because we're not getting ready to weld them on because we got to clean them up. That actually goes on bottom. But let's get all your sharp little danger pieces scooped in the bucket. My wife come home and make sure she didn't come in here. Alright, now I'm gonna grind all these edges off. Where's my cord? I plugged into the bench grinder. Get all those. There they are. Get them all cleaned up and shaped up, looking nice. Alright, so I just got them, the sharp edges, nice and rounded off, cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead and get all these done, then I'll show you what's next. As I said every time, got all your pieces trimmed up, cut out, looking nice and pretty, happy with them. Good. Now it's time to weld them up. I made a mistake, and this piece I got, this dowel rod, is zinc coated. Galvanized, in other words, in case you don't know. Let's get this sticker off there. I don't want to get that one off, so we'll take this one off. Alright, got it off. Now we are going to get this stuff welded on. I'm going to set these over here. I'm going to turn you guys around because all my welding stuff is over there. See, the first one we are going to do, alright. That's what it reminds me of every time I say that. First one we're going to do is your 3-inch for the pedal. Actually, I think I cut these at 3.5. Oh well. Set that down. Let's get the welder turned on, set up and ready. I'm gonna move my microphone so you guys can still hear me while I'm welding. Boom. Make sure you have your welder set up right. Well, I'm sure if you're welding this, I'm sure you do. You're going to take your 3-inch, lay it down on your table. Ooh, is that going to fit? Ooh, that just fits. Wow. Okay. Anyways, hold your rod up straight as you can. This is what I do. I put tacks where the pedals are. Put 4 nice little tacks in there. Then take your, make sure I'm doing the right ones here. You want to make sure you do the right ones. Then you take your next biggest one, which would be your 4-inch. I may have to drill these holes bigger. Yeah, I'm gonna have to drill those holes bigger. I use a 3/16 bit at work, but apparently it was too small, or just the right size. And lastly, take this weird little looking guy. It don't matter where you put it. Spin it wherever it lands is where it lands. But I like it lined up with the last pedals you welded on. Oh no! Look at that. Got a little hot. Burnt that leaf off there. It's alright. Actually, I think it might stay on there. Next one I'm going to do is just build that weld up a little bit. And you'll never know. Hopefully. And then I go ahead and weld around the tip of that where it sticks out a little bit or doesn't stick out. Mine's pretty flush. Alright. Alright, I zoomed you guys in a little bit so you can see better on what I'm doing here. You take your first pedal, you fold it up to a 90 or somewhere around in there. Don't have to be perfect. Then you take it and roll it in as tight as you can get. This first one, the better. Roll, roll. So you can kind of switch off your pliers and find out what works for you to get that rolled in. There we go. You have to make the grunting noises or else it will not work. There we go. You can bring the rest of it around. Bring it around town. Oh, my finger. It helps if you do this and not your finger. And just kind of squeeze it together. Get it how you want it. Boom. One done. You can take your next one, fold it up to it, and start wrapping it around. Nice and tight. The first one I made, after doing this part of it, I ended up having blisters on my fingers, at least 3 fingers. So they're still a little tender. That's why I'm wearing gloves though. Got that one. Flip your next one up. Get it started. There's really, this part, there's really not a method. You kind of just do what works for you. I know in that the last one I did, that you see in the first part, this is what I was doing to it. I was kind of just pushing and squeezing. Oop, my whole table moved. This table's on wheels. And then once I got it kind of wrapped around like that, then I was taking it and squeezing it together. All right, get your fourth one up. Get it started on around it. All around. I was squeezing my bottom. All right. That was your first plate. Your 3-inch plate that you put on. You want to get that one all nice and tight, wound together like this. Then your next one don't have to be as tight. Just kind of Keep wrapping it around. I guess if you can kind of hold the first curve with your palm and then get that squeezed around, that kind of helps. All right, the needle nose pliers come in play here. And that's, you're going to take the top of it, your needle nose pliers. Try to figure out how to do this so you guys can see it. And just clamp it a little bit. I think, yeah, that's right. I just kind of held it for a little support. Take your needle nose pliers. Come on. And bend them out. Bend it over. Just the top edge of it. Just like that. You don't have to be a whole lot. You don't have to be a whole lot. Just enough to give it a little kick out. Alright, move my camera now. I gotta make sure I put it back so you can see. Alright. Then we'll move on to the next one. And you just keep repeating this step until you get down to your last ones.
Okay.
Now, lift it up a little bit. For these little guys here, so what you're going to do, take your needle nose pliers, clamp it on the end. I can't do it that way. Clamp it on the end and roll just until that point comes back and touches. And then just kind of fold. Try to get a nice little roll in there. And there it is. You can dress it up however you want. Paint them. What I'm doing with these ones is heating them with a little propane torch. We still got to make the leaves too. And there it is. Nice. Pretty rose. And of course you're going to need to cut your stem to whatever length you want. Flip it over. There we go. Alright, got that shape, so I'm going to go ahead and trace 3 more. And now, to make the leaves, dress them up just a little bit is what I did. So I took my chisel, my hammer, and put a line. Put a line. Down the middle of it. And then just 3 lines, diagonal lines up from it, pointing up. Just like that. Do that for these ones. Alright, that one ain't the prettiest. Yeah, alright. Now, I'm going to cut these stems. In a couple various of lengths. Need my cord back. Ugh. Safety spectacles. I think what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have 3 different lengths. I'm gonna have short, medium, and tall. Because I like that. I'm gonna try to get these leaves placed in about the same spot, height-wise. I'll come down a little bit more on this tall one. Ain't getting very good ground doing it like that. You know what, guys? Oh, oh no, oh no, oh, jeez, oh jeez, oh I don't know what's happening. Everything's just going crazy. You know what it is? Ow! I got hot. That zinc. Zinc plating on there. Let me find my little. Oh, man. I've kicked that over 27,000 times today. Let me take the sandpaper. Sand the zinc off of here. Really shouldn't be welding to it anyways, because it is bad for you to breathe in. did have zinc poisoning once in my life, and it was not fun at all. Yeah, those fall the same way, don't they? Well, pooper poopies. Smell the roses. There you have it, your roses. I am probably gonna make a vase for these off camera. Just because I don't know, I might buy a vase, who knows. But I'm probably gonna end up spraying some clear coat on these just to give them a little protection. And then they're done. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to shoot them down in the comments and let me know what you think of this one. Thanks a lot.